So today we're talking about Headspace. It's a short film, and it's a touching and unvarnished look at the life of a man with a Down syndrome. But at the same time, it made me cry as I felt Tony's frustration with being broke and having to live with someone so clearly on a functional level lower than his own. So this movie is called Headspace. I'm Valerie Milano, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times, and we have Aisling here, and I'm going to let her go ahead and introduce herself. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Valerie. My name is Aisling Byrne, and I'm the writer and director of Headspace.
Wonderful, and thank you for taking the time today. This is an amazing film. You truly captured a slice of life for the people with Down syndrome and its realities and frustrations. The story is simple but powerful. What was the inspiration for the story?
Thank you so much, and I'm so glad you enjoyed the film. So the inspiration, I didn't have to look very far for it because the leading actor, Mark Smith, who plays Tony, is a very long time collaborator of mine and a close friend. I'm the artistic director of a theatre company in Ireland that works with actors with intellectual disabilities. And Mark is one of the leading members of that acting ensemble. And I suppose via this work that I've done as a theatre director, I would have a lot of access to the world of disability service provision in Ireland and residential houses for people with Down syndrome and intellectually disabled people in Ireland. And I suppose I was very artistically drawn to, well, first of all, platforming a slice of life that we don't really get to hear from very often, creating a rich role for a very talented actor, but also just I would hear a lot of, it would have been in my orbit, the stories of what life is like within the walls of a shared community home when you're a person with an intellectual disability. And I thought that there was something very interesting and very unseen in that. So I didn't have to look very far for the story nor the talented actors to cast in it.
Okay. Mark Smith, who plays Tony, is such a wonderful actor. How did you find it? So he was in the performance group, and was he easy to direct?
Yes, I mean, Mark is an incredible talent. I had worked with him for about 10 years, I would say. And in fact, he was a script consultant on Headspace as well, which really lends to our ability to be so authentic with the realities of this world and the story that's under the microscope. So he is um, an exceptional talent, but I work a lot with learning disabled performers and talent, and I do think that that relationship building piece, I think it's important for all actors and directors, but it's not something that we always have the luxury of. So Mark has had a really great career as a theatre performer, and he toured a one-man show that he and I co-created um, called Making a Mark, which is all about his life. So we had that kind of relationship built up, but it was his first role for screen, and it was my first time directing him for screen. So we really benefited from the shorthand that we've built up together in terms of, as we know, the camera makes everything much smaller and much more real, whereas the theatre actor has to really project to the back wall. So we had to do a little bit of work around, paring that performance back, not just for film, but also for a style of film that's, very inspired by Ken Loach and Shane Meadows and that kind of social realism cinema. So we needed it to be ultra authentic. So that took a little bit of work, but we had such a relationship and a rapport that um, I think we were both so happy with the result of that work.
So the rest of the cast were brilliant as well. Daniel, Ryan, Michael, and Jackie O'Hagan as Ruth, in particular. So what was it like working with them? And did they all become friends? Wwere they friends before? Talk about
So
that.
So actually leaning really into the slice of life aspect of Headspace, or the realism of it, and Jackie and Mark are housemates in real life. So they actually share four walls and you know, many other things. So I also had Jackie is a performer I've worked with for years, also through theatre. I had her in mind when I wrote the character of Ruth as well. But Daniel Ryan was actually from outside of our theatre troupe, because I felt that the role of Michael as the antagonist would need would definitely need someone with a little bit of screen experience. It's challenging to play challenging behavior, shall we say, authentically. And Dan Ryan had been steadily building a reputation in cinema and TV in Ireland as a growing talent for the screen. And he belonged to I won't say a rival theatre troupe,
Yeah.
another theatre troupe in Dublin that kind of nurtures diverse talent, this amazing company called Blue Diamond. So we cast Dan from there, and he became great friends with the rest of the, you know, the actors. And we jokingly called him Danislavski and Daniel Day Lewis, because he was full of the, you know, the wisdoms of on-screen acting, because he had more experience than the others, and he wasn't shy about sharing it. So you know, that was, there was a bit of teasing going on as to on set, you know, who had the most credits and who had
Love
done the
it.
most work
Right.
before. So that was fun. But I actually worked with Daniel again. Then I thought he was so incredibly talented and so on it. You know, like he was one of the most incredible actors I'd ever worked with, and I've worked with disabled and non-disabled actors, just in terms of his ability to kind of turn things around, take direction, give you something else. So I subsequently wrote a film for Daniel because I just wanted to work with him again, and we shot that in March, and it premiered at the Galway Fleadh in July. So that's kind of hitting the festival circuit now as well. So it's spawned some other creative collaborations, Headspace.
So you shot everything in Ireland?
Yes, in fact,
Yeah.
Headspace was shot in my hometown of
Ah.
Selbridge. Um, well, we it was kind of logistical. We wanted to make sure that this set was really inclusive and welcoming and warm, and shorter days perhaps for the cast. So we decided to keep it, you know, local. We only had to go a little bit further afield into other areas for some other locations, but all in Ireland.
Well, Tony's biggest frustration and the bit that was causing him to steal from the store and even consider robbing his housemate is lack of money for the things like new headphones. Is there a tendency for people who employ folks with Down syndrome to discount their value and either underpay or not pay them?
I mean, definitely there was that tendency 100% in Ireland, and that's kind of where that wry bit of, you know, the story came from. I would venture that it doesn't happen quite as often, and certainly not, it wouldn't be stood over to the same degree. But I was trying to sort of pepper the script with the authenticities of things I had learned from working as an artist in residence and a theatre maker in residence in this world, without being too heavy handed with it. So I do think that there's definitely like a societal devaluing of people with intellectual disabilities or an othering that occurs. And, you know, I think that trickles down, that kind of ableism trickles down to all aspects of life. But certainly the inspiration for that sort of aspect of the story came from this noticing that a lot of the people I knew with intellectual disabilities through my work were orbiting a lot of job shadowing placements all the time, like a rehearsal for real life, you know. And it was sort of like a lot of people going on endless job placements or shadowing opportunities. And we all know what that's like to intern for, you know, just 1 year longer than we think we ought to. So I felt like that there was this cycle of perpetual barriers and perpetual entrapment, really, of where you're constantly being invested in by society in a way that's preparing you for a life that never really gets to come. So I wanted to capture that with Tony, that this sense of arrested development, like he's stuck in a loop pedal of just not, you know, one situation is leading to another, which is leading to the, you know, his stuckness, I suppose.
Yeah. So are you on the film circuit now, for the film screening, the festivals?
Yes, we've had an incredible festival journey with Headspace to date, and it's ongoing. And we premiered in North America in New Hampshire. Actually, it was our first ever screening, so we're delighted to be a part of that festival. And then we very shortly afterwards we had our Irish premiere at Cork International Festival,
Yeah.
where we won the Oscar qualifying Grand
Oh,
Prix.
bravo.
Yes, we were delighted. So that placed us on the long list for the Academy, and we also won a candidacy for the European Film Awards there too. So that was a great start. It's hard to know where do you go from there,
I
but we've
know.
enjoyed loads of other screenings. We've had a UK premiere in Manchester. Lots of other wonderful regional festivals in Ireland have screened it, and it continues. We're actually screening in Cyprus International Short Film Festival this month, and Kerry International, which is a really popular one in Ireland. So lots of submissions still in, and it's continuing to kind of do the lap of the festival circuit as we speak.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Well, I wish you the best. And how can we find you? How can we find the film? Please talk to our readers, please, and our watchers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can follow, certainly Headspace was a co-production of Arcade Film, which is an Irish film production company, but also Run of the Mill Arts, of which I'm artistic director. So Run of the Mill is an organisation platforming talent with intellectual disabilities in Ireland and beyond. So you can keep up with the film Headspace via Run of the Mill, and our website is www.runofthemill.ie.
Wonderful. Are you thinking about your next project?
Very much so, yes. I just wrapped my second film. I've only quite recently pivoted to film from theatre, so I have a second film that's just premiered and is kind of on the festival circuit now with Dan from Headspace, and I've just received funding from Screen Ireland, which is our national film board, to make my third film. So that's big in my mind at the moment. We're going to shoot on the west of Ireland, beautiful coastline. So that's where my head is at right now.
Well, you keep the Hollywood Times dot today in your mind so we can stay up with you and all your
Yeah,
projects, please.
that would be
Yes.
lovely. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Ashley. All right. And
Thank,
thanks for your time today as well. And keep up the great creativity in your mind. So I
thank you
appreciate
so
you
much.
coming.
Thanks for having me.
And yes, you have a great, it looks like nighttime there. And you
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
great
just
evening.
bedtime.
It's still in the afternoon here in Hollywood, California. So
Well, I know where I'd rather be is there, but but
thank
I'm off to
you.
bed now.
You're
Thank you so
beautiful.
much.
Thanks.
Lovely to meet you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye bye.